Yo, so we have a couple of artwork we want to critique today. Oh yeah, the blob copy study. Let's critique yours first, Noel. So I think, yeah, right off the bat, if you look at the reference pictures compared to yours, it looks very similar, which means you did a good job. So one thing first, the biggest difference, if I were to notice, the biggest difference between Blob's painting and yours is how yours have so much softness to it, but Blob has a lot more texture to it. So he kind of has like a nice balance of where to put textures and where to put softness brush. For example, yeah, I think you can be confident in using like a more hard brush, just painting over like this, or maybe using like a smoothing that's like textured. But I see you are noticing a lot of lighting that's accurate. For example, there's light here, right? There's lighting here, and you also try to do the same. So I think observation is actually already a good skill that you improved on. There's a lot of highlight here, right? And then you copy it here. The lighting is here, and then you copy it here. But you can make it much more accurate by limiting the information that you have to a black and white color. Now you can actually see the difference. So for example, like the cheek here, the cheek over here is way too bright compared to the cheek over here. So now let's try to make a paint over where this thing is kind of similar. Noel said, would you recommend mapping out all the values at the start? Nowadays, Blob maps all skin values at the start, but before he used to do a rough values map and then build on it as he goes. Okay, so I think it generally depends on what your type is. If you have a ball, I can't really say for sure if a certain action is way better for you or for me. Some people like to like map out like this first, or they just kind of like instantly do this like this. They don't need to do this. I can't say for sure which one is better for you. But coming back to the painting here, Noel said the eyes on the original look so much more organic. On the left side, I can see why you are a bit confused and why it's less organic. Once again, you need to turn on your black and white filter. Let me show you. Here, this is a saturation mode layer filled with black. You can turn it on above the painting, so it turns black and white. So one thing that I've noticed is that your eyes is way too bright here. This is way too bright compared to Blob. Again, turn on the value color. What you can do, because this is a color study, you can just copy the color that Blob has and paint it on yours. You can also notice that the color is actually a bit green, right? And we want it to be as accurate as possible. You can just like go over here, make sure it's similar in size. You can instantly see changes you should make, right? A lot of things you should change. How bright something is, how dark something is. So we're going to paint it over. It's much more darker compared to your painting. So my advice is don't be afraid to color pick, to copy, yeah. This thing is not dark enough. You need to paint it darker. The eyes have like some kind of bottom thing. You need to paint it too. Like this, right? This thing is very dark. So don't be afraid to color pick things because you're trying to study and understand. Also, this is one of the most obvious thing. This is one of the most obvious thing. But some beginner may kind of forget about it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the eyebrow. Okay. Look at the eyebrow and what color this is. This is a brownish red, right? But yours are black. Are literally black. Dark gray. So this is something that you kind of misses because you kind of like assume it's black because it's an eyebrow. When we draw something, we draw a face or we draw a face like this. But it's not a face, it's a logo. You have a assumption that the eyebrow is black. Meanwhile, this thing is actually kind of reddish. So one thing to keep in mind. Oh, what's up? We are doing a weekly critique to improve your artwork. Kalki High Pigeon. Also, I am making this video here. Next video is going to be how to draw everything. Back to the paintings. So we only made a small difference, right? But look at this. Look at this, bro. Look at this. See? So your biggest problem, Noel, is actually value and looking at the details of like what colors are actually there, right? Before, after, before. It's just a small change. After. Yeah, the big problem is this lighting is way too bright and it doesn't really match the kind of color that's like in here. Why is the color like this? Why did you color like this? Or why did Blob color like this? It is actually, hear me out, the story. And you wonder why your artwork color is bad. It's because you don't have a story. Good color is from story. Now you know. If you want to paint good color, you need to actually know the story you're trying to express. At least for like original artwork, right? Let's move on to Vasco. Honestly, if I look at your artwork right now, it's already really good. You want to do more painterly artwork. Once again, you need to have story. Because when you have story, everything kind of flows. Like, you know what the background to do. You know like what things you need to do. You know what kind of color you need to pick. The story is what matters, okay? If you have like two artists, there's one artist that's like making insane artwork. There's other artists that's like making pixel art or cartoon artwork. But you need to understand that when these two people post artwork, 9,000 likes, this thing can also get 9,000 likes, okay? Maybe on a technical scale, this guy is way better because they understand more fundamentals. And this guy may be less technical about fundamentals, but they still got the same perceptions. Why? The story. The story is what matters, guys. I'm not joking. Maybe the shading is insane, but the story was like, whatever, I'm just making some pretty pictures. I mean, it's valid. Every artist should make whatever the hell they want, right? But the story is what's going to connect for people, especially yourself, the artist making. Vasco says, how to make a story into a drawing. Honestly, this is actually difficult. I'm not joking. Because it's like, what things do you want to express? Is that emotion? Something relatable? There's emotions, anger, sadness, horny, relatable. Even if you just say this thing, if you just say anger, now you already know like what kind of things the direction of the artwork should be. Maybe because you are saying anger, the colors will be red. Here's the thing, this is important. Because you said anger, your subconscious mind will try to reference something that is your definition of anger. Like maybe you're going to subconsciously use color red, maybe a bit of dark blue, right? So the story is what matters, and you can use like keyword, and your subconscious mind will actually define the color yourself. Anyways, back to the painting. Kaiki says, hello, I just found out your channel. It seems really helpful. You are on the right track. We are generally going to dominate YouTube. I'm not joking. The Discord server below if you want to get your artwork critique. Anyways, so Vasco, let's try deleting the background first. In fact, let me see first. So let's just make it dark. The problem with the background that you have right now, although this is just my personal opinion, okay, it's just that it's way too complicated. My focus is like everywhere. At least that's me though. So I know the focus is the character, right? This character here, Gerald, and who's the other guy? I forgot. And this guy. But the background has so many more variations of black. Look at this. That makes it very difficult to focus. If I were me, the thing that I would do is just like make the background black or dark. Now the characters is insanely on focus. With dark background, you can make the characters easily pop with insane lighting. Gerald and Dante at night being cool, fighting someone. So now, because the story is at night, change the brush to multiply and make sure the characters as if they were at night. They're at night. Like, look at this. Boom. Instant color guide. Okay, when you have a story like this, color instantly. Let's include a fire on the scene. Boom. You can include a fire on the scene. Maybe I'll even continue the composition. I will just continue the leg here. Pardon my anatomy, fast food, fast track method. Look at this. Continue the composition here, right? Boom. And now you can have a fire on the back because you already have like the scene of these two guys fighting bad guys. Oh my god. Vasco said, all I need is fire and longer legs. We're going to have two lightings, okay? The first lighting is going to be the moon. This is the moon lighting. It's just going to be bluish. And we also have the fire lighting like this. Moon and fire. So now with that in mind, we can just go ham on the color, painting insane lighting from the top.